You are not broken. You are rebuilding. Right now it may feel like you are standing at the beginning with empty hands. No momentum, no applause, no visible evidence that your effort will matter. The silence can feel heavy. The space ahead can feel uncertain. But this is not emptiness. This is space. This is the clean slate most people never dare to claim. This is the moment everything changes for you. You are not behind. You are being prepared. Pressure is shaping you. Challenge is refining you. What feels like loss is clearing the ground for strength. From zero, you rise. From silence, you build. From doubt, you decide. Feel the weight of this moment. Let it anchor you. The old story ends here. The hesitation, the waiting, the quiet compromises. They stop now. The new standard begins. You know something must change. You have felt it for a long time. That inner signal, that steady pull forward. And you are ready. Stand up, breathe deeply. This is your reconstruction, brick by brick, decision by decision. You are becoming the person who wins. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The day you stop accepting less. There comes a quiet moment in every life when the noise fades and something deeper speaks. Not loudly, not dramatically, just clearly. It asks a simple question. Is this truly who you are? You move through your days, you fulfill responsibilities. You handle what must be handled. From the outside, everything may appear stable, predictable, fine. But inside, there is a tension, a subtle awareness that you were built for more than repetition. More than routine, more than shupining, more than surviving from one day to the next. This is not dissatisfaction. This is awakening. For a long time, you accepted less than your potential, not because you are weak, not because you lack ability, but because comfort is persuasive. It whispers that stability is enough, that average is safe, that waiting is wise. And slowly, without noticing, you adjusted your standards downward. You postponed the bold move. You softened the big dream. You delayed the difficult decision, not out of fear, out of habit. Now pause. Look at your current life with calm honesty. No judgment, just observation. Where have you been drifting? Where have you been choosing ease over growth? Where have you been saying, "This is fine," when you know it could be extraordinary? This is the dark room. You have been standing in it for years. You memorized the furniture. You learned how to move carefully without bumping into obstacles. You adapted to the shadows, but you never turned on the light. Awareness is that light, and the moment you decide to see clearly, everything changes. At first, clarity is uncomfortable. You notice patterns, repeated delays, half-finished goals, energy spent on distractions, time invested in things that do not move you forward. You see the gap between who you are and who you could become. The discomfort rises. Good, let it rise. This tension is not here to shame you. It is here to wake you. You are not your past choices. You are the one who can choose again. There are two versions of you standing side by side. The old self values comfort. The old self negotiates standards. The old self negotiates standards. The old self says, tomorrow. The emerging self values growth. The emerging self values growth. The emerging self says, now. Feel that internal conflict. It is not weakness. It is transformation beginning. You versus your old self. One chooses familiar patterns, the other chooses intentional action. One avoids discomfort, the other understands that discomfort builds capacity. One drifts, the other directs. You cannot become powerful until you become aware. So face it. Face your habits. Face your distractions. Face the ways you have been playing smaller than your ability. Face it, not with anger, with ownership. Own it. Own your decisions. Own your outcomes. Own the fact that your life reflects your standards. This is not blame. This is power. When you own it, you can change it. For years, you may have waited for motivation to arrive before acting. You may have waited for clarity before committing. You may have waited for confidence before stepping forward. But awareness reveals something deeper. Confidence is built after action. Clarity is discovered during movement. Momentum is created through decision. No more drifting. Say it internally. Feel it settle. No more drifting. Drifting is subtle. It looks like scrolling instead of studying. It looks like talking instead of building. It looks like planning without execution. Drifting feels harmless until years pass. You are not here to drift. You are here to direct. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine waking up with certainty instead of confusion. Imagine starting your day knowing exactly what matters. Imagine moving with intention instead of reacting to circumstances. Imagine ending your day with progress instead of regret. That version of you is not imaginary. It is constructed through standards. The day you stop accepting less is not loud. It is not announced. It is decided quietly. It is a shift in expectation. You raise the bar for yourself. You no longer accept half effort. You no longer accept vague goals. You no longer accept excuses dressed as explanations. You decide that your potential deserves discipline. This decision will not feel dramatic. It will feel steady, calm, firm, clear. The discomfort that once felt heavy begins to transform into energy, because once you see clearly, you cannot unsee. You recognize where you have been underestimating yourself. You recognize how capable you truly are. You recognize that your future is not determined by circumstances, but by standards. Stand up internally, draw a line. The old self thrived in ambiguity. The new self demands direction. The old self waited for permission. The new self grants it. The old self sought comfort. The new self seeks growth. This is the turning point. It is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming aligned. Aligned with your values. Aligned with your potential. Aligned with your responsibility to yourself. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to fulfill your design. And fulfillment requires awareness. Look at your environment. Does it reflect ambition? Look at your daily habits. Do they reflect intention? Look at your inner dialogue. Does it reflect leadership? If not, adjust. Not tomorrow, now. Small corrections create massive redirection. You do not need to overhaul your entire life today. You need to stop accepting less today. That is enough. When you raise your standards internally, your behavior begins to shift naturally. Your behavior begins to shift naturally. You speak differently. You choose differently. You invest your time differently. You stop tolerating what drains you. You start prioritizing what builds you. This is the first act of power, not achievement. Awareness, because awareness ignites responsibility, and responsibility unlocks control. You are in control of your standards. You are in control of your effort. You are in control of your response. Feel the relief that comes with ownership. No more blaming circumstances. No more waiting for ideal timing. No more shrinking expectations. You are capable of more, and you know it. That inner knowing is not random. It is accurate. There is greatness within you that has been waiting for structure. Structure begins with standards. Standards begin with awareness. Today, you stop accepting less. You do not criticize your past. You learn from it. You do not regret lost time. You use the present. You do not dwell on mistakes. You build momentum. Every leader begins with a private decision. A decision that says, I will not live below my potential. Say it quietly. I am ready. Let those words settle. I am ready. Ready to face your habits. Ready to own your direction. Ready to stop drifting. The transformation seed has been planted. It will grow through action. It will strengthen through discipline. It will expand through consistency. But it begins here, in awareness, in honesty. In the moment you turn on the light, you are standing in that room now. The light is on. The shadows have shape. The path is visible. There is no panic. There is clarity, and clarity is power. The next step will require action, but first you needed to see. Now you do. And once you see clearly, you will never accept less again. This is the day everything begins to change. Chapter 2. 0 is a clean foundation. There is a strange silence that comes with 0. no applause, no spotlight, no visible proof that you are progressing, just space. For some, that space feels like emptiness. For others, it feels like emptiness. For others, it feels like embarrassment. A sense of having to begin again when they thought they would already be further. But you are beginning to understand something powerful. Zero is not humiliation. Zero is freedom. When a storm passes through a field, it may tear down fences, it may flatten crops, it may scatter what once stood tall. At first glance, it looks like loss. But look closer. The field is clear. The debris is gone. The ground is exposed. The soil is open and ready for new seeds. This is where you stand now. The field of your life has been cleared. What once defined you no longer limits you. What once held your identity in place has dissolved. You are not carrying expectations. You are not defending a reputation. You are not protecting an image. You are at zero. And zero is clean. Breathe into that reality. There is nothing to maintain, nothing to perform, nothing to prove. You are free to construct deliberately. Acceptance is the first step. Do not resist where you are. Do not compare it to where others appear to be. Do not rush to disguise your starting point. Stand in it. Zero means you can choose every brick carefully. Zero means you can design your habits intentionally. Zero means you can define yourself without noise. Most people never get this opportunity. They build on unstable foundations. They add layers without checking the base. They chase speed instead of structure. You will not do that. You will strip it down. Strip away what is unnecessary. Strip away what is distracting. Strip away what does not serve the person you are becoming. When you stand at zero, you see clearly what truly matters. You see which skills must be built. You see which habits must be strengthened. You see which environments must be adjusted. This clarity is strength. There is no shame in beginning again. There is power in choosing to rebuild correctly. The old self might have feared starting over. It might have clung to familiar structures, even if they were weak. It might have worried about how it looked. But you are shifting. You are becoming deliberate. Deliberate people do not rush foundations. They measure twice. They place carefully. They build patiently. Patience is not passive. Patience is noting restraint. When you are at zero, there is temptation to move quickly, to prove yourself, to generate immediate results, to make noise so others notice. Pause. You rebuild in silence. You rebuild in focus. You do not need validation to continue. You do not need applause to confirm progress. You do not need public recognition to justify your effort. You need structure. Delayed gratification becomes your ally. You understand that what grows fast often breaks easily. What grows steadily becomes unshakable. Look at the cleared field again. Imagine standing at its edge. The wind is calm now. The sky is open. The soil is dark and ready. You could scatter seeds carelessly and hope something grows. Or you could design rows, plan irrigation, study the seasons, prepare deeply. You choose preparation. Strip it down. If your schedule is cluttered, simplify it. If your goals are vague, define them. If your habits are inconsistent, stabilize them. Strip it down. You are not reducing your ambition. You are refining it. The noise of comparison fades when you commit to craftsmanship. Build it right. Right means aligned with your values. Right means sustainable. Right means repeatable. When you build it right, you do not rely on bursts of motivation. You rely on systems. Systems create consistency. Consistency creates trust. Trust creates confidence. Confidence built at zero is powerful because it is not inflated by praise. It is earned quietly through repetition. You start again, not because you failed, not because you were incapable, but because you are wise enough to rebuild properly. Starting again is strength. There is courage in admitting that the previous structure was not solid enough. There is maturity in choosing long-term stability over short-term appearance. Acceptance deepens into strength. You stop explaining your position to others. You stop defending your progress. You stop narrating every step. You work quietly, intentionally. You rebuild in silence. Each day becomes a single brick. You wake up, you execute the essential task, you refine your skill, you protect your focus. It may feel small at first, small actions, small improvements, small shifts, but small actions compound. At zero, you become hyper-aware of what truly moves you forward. You no longer waste time on performance. You no longer chase scattered goals. You no longer dilute your energy. You concentrate. Focus becomes discipline. Discipline becomes identity. You are becoming deliberate. Deliberate people are calm under pressure because they trust their structure. They do not panic when progress feels slow. They do not abandon their plan when results are invisible. They understand seasons. There is a season of planting. There is a season of waiting. There is a season of harvest. You are in the planting season. Plant deeply. Plant carefully. Plant with intention. It would be easy to grow impatient, to look around and wonder why the field still appears empty, to question whether the seeds are working. But you know something others forget. Growth begins underground. Roots form before stems appear. Strength develops before recognition arrives. You choose patience over noise. Noise seeks attention. Patience seeks mastery. Every time you choose delayed gratification, you strengthen your foundation. Every time you resist the urge to announce your progress, you increase your internal power. You rebuild in focus. Your mornings gain structure. Your evenings gain reflection. Your habits gain rhythm. You start to feel different. Not louder, not dramatic. Steadier, clearer, stronger. Acceptance has transformed into discipline. Discipline is not harsh. It is organized intention. You no longer rely on how you feel. You rely on what you decided. You decided to rebuild properly. You decided to start again. You decided to build it right. There is pride in that, not ego, pride, the quiet satisfaction of knowing that you are constructing something solid. You are not chasing quick validation. You are building long-term capacity. The field may still look empty to others, but beneath the surface, systems are forming. Habits are rooting. Identity is shifting. You are becoming deliberate. Deliberate in your speech. Deliberate in your commitments. Deliberate in your daily execution. When you look back at this moment in the future, you will not remember it as a setback. You will remember it as the foundation. The day you stopped fearing zero, the day you recognized its power, the day you chose structure over speed. Stand tall in this phase. There is dignity in beginning again. There is authority in choosing discipline. There is strength in patience. Strip it down. Build it right. Start again. Repeat those words internally. Strip it down. Build it right. Start again. Each repetition reinforces your identity. You are not scrambling. You are constructing. You are not behind. You are preparing. You are not empty. You are ready. Zero is no longer intimidating. It is empowering. Because from zero, everything you build is intentional. Everything you build is intentional. Everything you build is chosen. Everything you build is aligned. And when the structure begins to rise, it will not be fragile. It will stand because it was built on a clean foundation. Because you were patient. Because you were deliberate. Because you understood that zero is not the end. It is the beginning of precision. And as you continue laying these unseen bricks, something shifts inside you. You no longer define yourself by where you stand. You define yourself by how you build. The foundation is forming, quietly, powerfully, and you are just getting started. Chapter 3. Discipline before motivation. There is a myth that holds many people still. It says you must feel ready before you begin. It says you must feel inspired before you act. It says confidence comes first. But look closely at your own experience. How often has motivation arrived before action? Rarely. Motivation is unreliable. It rises with emotion and disappears with discomfort. If you wait for it, you drift again. Discipline is different. Discipline moves before emotion agrees. Right now, there are things you know you should be doing, conversations to have, skills to practice, work to complete, habits to reinforce. You do not lack knowledge. You are confronting resistance. Resistance whispers. Later, resistance suggests. When you feel better, resistance invites comfort. This is where identity is shaped. Picture a warrior preparing for battle. The warrior does not train during the fight. The warrior trains before it, in solitude, in repetition, in sweat and silence. Long before the crowd gathers, long before the cowed gathers, long before the test appears, that preparation is not fueled by excitement, it is fueled by commitment. You are in training. Your battle is not against another person. It is against inconsistency, against distraction, against the old version of yourself that waited for the perfect mood. You are building something greater than mood. You are building reliability. Action creates belief, not the other way around. The first time you wake early when you would rather sleep, something shifts. The first time you complete a task when you would rather delay, something strengthens. The first time you choose discipline over comfort, something awakens. At first it feels heavy. Resistance rises. Your mind negotiates. Your body seeks ease. This is normal. Resistance is a signal that growth is near. Feel it without retreating. You are not here to eliminate resistance. You are here to move through it. Move, even when it feels small, even when it feels awkward, even when it feels awkward, even when it feels inconvenient. Move. Do it now. There is power in immediacy. When you delay, doubt expands. When you act, doubt shrinks. No hesitation. Hesitation feeds uncertainty. Decisive movement builds clarity. You do not need to overhaul your entire life in one day. You need to complete the next right action. Open the book. Send the message. Begin the workout. Draft the plan. Small actions accumulate authority. Every completed task becomes evidence. Evidence that you follow through. Evidence that you honor your word. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. Belief is built through proof. You prove to yourself that you are capable. That proof is quiet at first, but it grows. The warrior repeats the same movement thousands of times, the swing, the stance, the breath, over and over until it becomes instinct. You repeat discipline until it becomes instinct. You repeat discipline until it becomes identity. At first you push yourself, then you guide yourself, then you trust yourself. Resistance begins to transform. What once felt heavy begins to feel empowering. You notice something subtle. When you act before you feel ready, energy follows. When you complete what you committed to, clarity follows. Emotion follows execution. The mind that once argued begins to cooperate. The body that once resisted begins to adapt. Momentum is forming. But momentum requires consistency. You cannot rely on bursts. You must rely on structure. Create non-negotiables. Time to work, time to train, time to reflect. Protect them. Treat them as appointments with your future. When you keep those appointments, self-trust strengthens. When self-trust strengthens, confidence rises. Confidence is not noise, it is calm certainty. It is knowing that you will act regardless of mood. There will be days when discipline feels natural. There will be days when it feels forced. On both days, you move. Move. Do it now. No hesitation. Let those words become automatic. You are not waiting for a feeling. You are building a system. And systems outlast emotion. There will be moments when the old self attempts to return. It will suggest skipping just once. It will argue that you deserve comfort. You listen, and then you choose. You choose the action that aligns with who you are becoming. Each choice strengthens the emerging identity. Each repetition carves neural pathways of reliability. You are training before the battle. The battle will come. Deadlines, pressure, opportunity, responsibility. When that moment arrives, you will not scramble. You will respond with practiced discipline, because you trained when no one was watching, because you executed when it was inconvenient, because you moved before you felt motivated. Resistance is now fuel. Instead of shrinking, you lean in. You feel the urge to stop. You take one more step. Transformation peak begins. Keep going. Don't stop. One more step. One more repetition. One more page. One more page. One more call. Keep going. Don't stop. Your mind wants relief. Your body wants ease. You give them strength instead. One more step. You are building endurance. You are building mental resilience. You are building proof. Keep going. Don't stop. Feel the rhythm of discipline forming. Action, completion, evidence, belief. Action, completion, evidence, belief. Action, completion, evidence, belief. This is the cycle. Stay in it. Momentum increases. Tasks that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable. Decisions that once felt heavy now feel direct. You realize something powerful. You are not forcing yourself anymore. You are not forcing yourself anymore. You are leading yourself. The tempo slows. Breath steadies. Calm confidence begins to replace doubt. You look back at the tasks you once avoided. They are done. You look at the habits you once struggled to maintain. They are stabilizing. You look at the discipline you once admired in others. It is forming within you. You did not wait for belief. You created it through action, through repetition, through commitment. You rise early even when it is difficult. You complete work even when it is inconvenient. You practice even when it is unnoticed. And in doing so, you rise internally. Say it quietly. I rise. Not because you feel unstoppable, but because you're consistent. Belief built through discipline does not fade easily. It is not dependent on praise. It is not shaken by setbacks. It is grounded in evidence. You have evidence now. Evidence that you move when it matters. Evidence that you follow through. Evidence that you can trust yourself. The warrior does not question training during battle. The warrior trusts the preparation. You are preparing. Every disciplined act is a vote for your future identity. You are becoming someone who executes without drama. Someone who acts without delay. Someone who completes what they begin. There will still be resistance, that is natural, but resistance no longer controls you. It signals opportunity. When resistance appears, you smile internally because you know what to do. Move, do it now. No hesitation. The simplicity of these commands is their power. You remove overthinking, you remove negotiation, you execute, and with each execution, belief strengthens. You begin to feel a shift, not loud, not dramatic, but steady. You feel capable, you feel grounded, you feel aligned. Discipline before motivation, action before emotion, execution before confidence. This is how leaders are built. This is how greatness is constructed. This is how greatness is constructed. This is how zero transforms into strength. You rise not through inspiration, but through consistency. And as you continue moving, repeating, completing, something settles inside you. A calm awareness. You are no longer waiting. You are building. The next challenge will test you further. The next level will demand more. But now you understand the formula. You do not wait to feel powerful. You act. And power follows. You rise. Chapter 4. Silence is your advantage. There is a phase of growth that few people respect. It is not loud. It is not visible. It is not celebrated. It is silent. And that silence is your advantage. In a world that rewards announcement, you choose construction. In a culture that celebrates exposure, you choose depth. While others broadcast intention, you execute in private. This is not secrecy born from fear. This is strategy born from strength. The old self wanted recognition early. It wanted reassurance that progress was being noticed. It wanted validation before completion. The new self wants mastery. Mastery does not require an audience. Picture a tree. When you see it standing tall, you admire the trunk, the branches, the leaves. You notice the height. You notice the presence, but you do not see the roots. The roots grow underground, unseen, unapplauded, uncelebrated. Uncelebrated, and yet the roots determine everything. Without deep roots, the first storm destroys the tree. Without silent growth, visible success collapses. You are growing roots. Work quietly. The temptation to announce your plans will rise. the urge to share your next move, to gather approval, to signal ambition. Pause. Work quietly. When you speak too soon, you release energy that should be invested in action. When you reveal the blueprint before building, you dilute focus. Energy scattered is power weakened. Focus deeply. Direct your attention inward. Study your craft. Strengthen your systems. Improve your habits. Refine your thinking. Let your progress be your message. You versus your old self stand clearly here. The old self sought approval. It asked, "Do you see me?" It wondered, "Am I impressive yet?" It relied on reaction. The new self seeks mastery. It asks, "Am I improving?" It measures, "Am I consistent?" It values discipline over display. This shift is profound. When you stop seeking applause, you accelerate growth. You reclaim hours once spent explaining yourself. You reclaim energy once spent comparing yourself. You reclaim focus once lost to external opinions. Silence creates space. In that space, clarity sharpens. You begin to notice your own patterns more clearly. You identify weaknesses without defensiveness. You strengthen skills without distraction. You become deliberate. There is power in being underestimated. When others assume you are stagnant, you are training. When others believe you are comfortable, you are refining. When others forget about you, you are building. Let them wonder. Do not rush to correct assumptions. Do not hurry to display progress. Let them wonder. The roots are growing. You wake early without announcement. You practice without posting. You study without broadcasting. You study without broadcasting. You invest without boasting. This private discipline builds a different kind of confidence, not the confidence that depends on praise, the confidence that depends on proof. You know how much effort you are investing. You know how many repetitions you are completing. You know how many distractions you are refusing. That knowledge is enough. Silence protects momentum. When you reveal progress too early, opinions follow, doubt follows, expectation follows, and expectation to distort focus. In silence, you move at your own pace. In silence, you adjust without commentary. In silence, you strengthen without pressure. Focus deeply. Depth creates advantage. Surface-level improvement is easy. Anyone can mimic intensity for a moment. Anyone can perform discipline briefly. But deep work requires solitude. Deep work requires repetition. Deep work requires patience. You commit to depth. You study the fundamentals. You refine the basics. You perfect the small details others ignore. These details compound. The roots spread wider. The foundation strengthens. There will be moments when you feel invisible, when progress feels unnoticed, when effort feels unrecognized. This is the test. Do you require attention to continue, or do you require purpose? You choose purpose. You understand that visibility without stability is fragile. You are building stability. Work quietly. Let your habits speak later. Let your results announce themselves. The old self measured progress by reaction. The new self measures progress by execution. Execution is private. Reaction is public. You choose execution. Imagine the moment when your discipline becomes undeniable, when the skill you practiced in silence becomes evident, when the consistency you cultivated in privacy manifests in performance. Imagine walking into a room with calm certainty, knowing you prepared while others perform. Imagine delivering results that surprise those who assumed you were inactive. Imagine shocking the world with your discipline, not through noise, through proof. That future is built in silence. There is relief in this approach. You no longer feel pressure to explain your direction. You no longer feel urgency to update everyone on your goals. You no longer feel anxiety about being seen progressing. You simply progress. The emotional rhythm stabilizes. Calm replaces comparison. Focus replaces distraction. Consistency replaces chaos. Silence sharpens awareness. You hear your own thoughts more clearly. You identify your own excuses more quickly. You adjust your own strategy more efficiently. The noise fades. What remains is intention. You begin to notice how much energy used to be wasted on perception, how much time was invested in appearance, how often you shaped decisions around external validation. Now you shape decisions around alignment, alignment with your standards, alignment with your long-term vision, alignment with your identity. The roots grow deeper. Each disciplined day adds another layer. Each focused hour strengthens structure. Each private repetition increases capacity. You are not hiding, you are preparing. There is a difference. Hiding avoids challenge. Preparing anticipates it. You are anticipating opportunity. Opportunity favors those who are ready before being called. When the moment arrives, you will not scramble. You will respond because you trained in silence, because you refined in solitude, because you built roots before reaching for height. Let them wonder. Let them question your quiet. Let them assume you are comfortable. You know better. You are building leverage. Leverage built through skill. Leverage built through knowledge. Leverage built through discipline. Silence creates mystery. Mystery creates impact. When your work finally surfaces, it will appear sudden. It will seem effortless. It will look like overnight success. But you will know the truth. You will remember the early mornings, the late nights, the focused hours, the decisions to remain quiet. Work quietly, focus deeply, let them wonder. Repeat these commands internally. They anchor your approach. Silence does not mean isolation. It means intention. You still connect. You still contribute. You still learn. But you do not reveal everything. You protect your vision while it is forming. Young roots are fragile. Expose them too early and they weaken. Allow them to deepen and they become unshakable. You are in the deepening phase. You are strengthening beneath the surface. You are constructing something solid. And the more you commit to silent growth, the more stable you become. There is dignity in this discipline. There is authority in restraint. There is confidence in quiet preparation. The old self needed applause to feel worthy. The new self needs mastery to feel aligned. That shift changes everything. You stop chasing attention. You start chasing excellence. Excellence is quiet at first, then it becomes undeniable. You do not rush that process. You respect it. You honor it. You trust it. Silence becomes comfortable. In that comfort, focus sharpens further. You notice improvement in subtle ways, increased clarity, improved skill, enhanced resilience. These gains are internal before they are external, and internal gains are permanent. Imagine months from now. Imagine standing taller, speaking with greater precision, acting with stronger confidence. Others will ask when the shift happened. They will not see the silent hours. They will not see the disciplined days. They will see the result. You will remember the roots. This chapter of your life may not be dramatic. It may not be flashy. It may not be visible. But it is powerful because it is foundational. You are building beneath the surface. You are strengthening without noise. You are mastering without announcement. And when the tree finally rises above ground, it will not be fragile. It will stand firm because you chose silence as your advantage, because you chose mastery over approval, because you chose to grow roots before reaching for height. The world will see the tree, but you will know the depth, and that depth will carry you into the next phase of growth. Chapter 5. Burn the old identity. There comes a moment in growth when improvement is no longer enough. You have built discipline. You have strengthened focus. You have grown in silence. But something still lingers, an old identity, a familiar version of you that once felt safe, a personality shaped by past experiences, habits that were once necessary, labels that once made sense, and now they feel tight. Transformation requires letting go, not adjusting, not polishing, letting go. You cannot carry every version of yourself forward. Some identities served a season. They helped you survive. They helped you adapt. They helped you learn. Honor that, but do not cling to it. Imagine standing at the edge of a bridge. Behind you is the version of yourself built from old habits, old fears, old narratives. Ahead of you is open ground, stronger ground, higher standards, greater responsibility. You begin to walk. Halfway across, you pause. There is comfort in turning back, familiar patterns, known reactions. predictable outcomes, but you look forward again, and you understand something clearly. This bridge will not remain. Once you cross, it disappears. This is not a temporary shift. This is identity reconstruction. Let it go. Let go of the excuses that once justified delay. Let go of the stories that explained limitation. Let go of the belief that you're defined by past performance. Let it go. You are not erasing your history. You are refusing to be trapped by it. Old habits will attempt to negotiate. They will say, "You can keep this one." They will say, "This part of you is harmless." They will say, "Why change completely?" Because partial transformation produces partial results. You are not here for partial transformation produces partial results. You are not here for partial. You are here for elevation. Drop it. Drop the tendency to seek comfort when challenged. Drop the reflex to defend weakness. Drop the pattern of shrinking in unfamiliar environments. Drop it. You have outgrown certain behaviors. You have outgrown certain mindsets. You have outgrown certain identities. Growth is uncomfortable because it demands separation. There will be moments when you feel uncertain, when the old self calls out with familiarity, when the temptation to return feels strong. Feel it, and then choose. Step forward. Every step forward weakens the old identity. Every disciplined action strengthens the new one. This is where emotional intensity builds. You begin to recognize how deeply some patterns were embedded, automatic reactions, defensive thoughts, self-imposed ceilings. You see them clearly now. Awareness is sharp. You cannot pretend anymore. You cannot say, "That's just how I am," because you are not fixed. You are evolving. Let it go. Let go. Let go of the label that kept you small, the one that said you were inconsistent, the one that said you were inconsistent, the one that said you were rigid, the one that said you were not ready. That label belonged to a previous chapter. This chapter demands more. Drop it. Let go of the environment that reinforces weakness. Let go of conversations that dilute ambition. Let go of routines that drain energy. Transformation is selective. You choose what continues. You release what no longer aligns. The bridge trembles behind you. You feel the shift. There is no safe middle ground. Either you move forward fully or you remain divided. Division weakens power. Clarity strengthens it. No retreat, no apology, no fear. The tempo rises. No retreat, no apology, no fear. The tempo rises. No retreat. You do not step backward into familiar comfort. No apology. You do not apologize for evolving. No fear. You do not allow uncertainty to paralyze movement. No retreat, no apology, no fear. These words become rhythm. You feel heat rising, not anger, intensity, intensity toward growth, intensity toward alignment, intensity toward truth. The old self was shaped by survival. The new self is shaped by intention. Survival reacts. Intention directs. Survival protects. Intention directs. Survival protects. Intention builds. You are crossing fully now. The old identity loses its authority. You remember moments when you hesitated, moments when you doubted, moments when you accepted less than your capability. You see them clearly, and instead of shame, you feel clarity. Those behaviors are not you. They were patterns. Patterns can be replaced. You are not who you were. Say it internally. You are not who you were. This is not denial of history. It is declaration of evolution. You choose discipline over impulse. You choose courage over hesitation. You choose leadership over hesitation. Step forward. Each step strengthens conviction. You no longer introduce yourself with old limitations. You no longer define yourself by outdated performance. You no longer carry excuses as identity. The bridge begins to fade. Behind you, the past loses detail. Ahead of you, possibility sharpens. There is intensity in this transition. Intensity because you are detaching from comfort. Intensity because you are stepping into responsibility. Intensity because growth demands courage. Let it burn. Let the old identity dissolve. You do not need pieces of it for protection. Your new structure is stronger. Your new standards are higher. Your new habits are reliable. You are not erasing who you were. You are transcending it. There is grief sometimes in transformation, not sadness. Recognition that an old version of you tried its best. Thank it and release it. Drop it. Drop the narrative that said you were late. Drop it. Drop the narrative that said you were late. Drop the belief that others were ahead. Drop the tendency to measure worth by comparison. You are not in competition with your past. You are evolving beyond it. No retreat, no apology, no fear. The intensity peaks. You stand fully on the other side, breathing steady, heart strong, mind clear. There is no path back, only forward. And then something unexpected happens. Relief, lightness, freedom. The weight of carrying outdated identities lifts. The pressure of maintaining appearances fades. The anxiety of defending weaknesses fades. The anxiety of defending weaknesses disappears. You feel aligned. You feel integrated. You feel clear. You are not who you were. The words settle deeper now. Not dramatic. True. You move differently. You speak with more certainty. You decide with greater clarity. The old identity once reacted automatically. The new identity responds deliberately. This is the difference. You are no longer trying to change. You are changing fully, without negotiation, without hesitation, without retreat. Let it go. Drop it. Step forward. These commands now feel natural. They are not forced. They are chosen. You look back one final time. The bridge is gone. There is no dramatic collapse. Just distance. The old identity exists only as memory, and memory does not control action. Action defines identity. Your actions now align with growth. Your habits now reflect intention. Your standards now demand excellence. Freedom is not loud, it is steady. You feel unburdened, not because life is easier, but because you are lighter. Lighter without excuses, lighter without labels, lighter without hesitation. You are not who you were. You are becoming someone stronger, someone clearer, someone deliberate. This transformation is not temporary. It is structural. You burned the old identity, not in anger, in clarity. You released what was no longer aligned. You stepped fully into responsibility, and responsibility feels empowering. You no longer wait for permission to grow. You no longer apologize for ambition. You no longer shrink to fit familiar spaces. You expand, not loudly, confidently. The next phase of growth requires this foundation. Without burning the old identity, new standards cannot hold. Now they can. You are lighter. You are clearer. You are free. And as you stand firmly in this new space, one truth echoes with certainty. You are not who you were, and you will never return to that version again. Chapter 6. Build self-trust brick by brick. Confidence is often misunderstood. Many believe it arrives suddenly, that one achievement, one recognition, one breakthrough will create permanent belief. But real confidence is quieter than that. It is constructed. It is earned internally. It is built through promises kept when no one is watching. Right now, your greatest project is not a title, not a milestone, not an outcome. It is self-trust. Without self-trust, discipline feels forced. Without self-trust, ambition feels fragile. Without self-trust, progress feels uncertain. With self-trust, everything stabilizes. Imagine standing before an empty foundation. There is no wall yet, no visible structure, just open ground. In your hand, you hold a single brick. One brick does not look impressive. One brick does not look impressive. One brick does not look like progress, but you place it carefully. That brick represents a small promise kept. You said you would wake early. You did. You said you would practice. You did. You said you would complete the task. You did. One brick, then another, then another. Confidence is not built in leaps. It is laid brick by brick. Finish. When you begin something, finish it, even if it is small, even if it feels insignificant. Completion sends a signal to your mind. It says, I follow through. That signal matters. Follow through. Not occasionally, consistently. The old self may have relied on bursts of energy. a wave of motivation, followed by a quiet withdrawal. The new self builds rhythm. Rhythm creates stability. Stability creates trust, creates confidence. Complete. Do not leave tasks half done. Do not leave goals half formed. Do not leave goals half formed. Do not leave commitments half honored. Complete. Completion strengthens identity. Each time you complete what you started, you lay another brick. The wall rises slowly. At first, you may not notice the difference. You may still question yourself. You may still feel moments of doubt. That is normal. Confidence built through repetition takes time. Delayed gratification deepens here. You do not see the full structure immediately. You do not receive applause for small consistencies. You do not gain instant recognition for steady habits. But something internal is forming, brick by brick. Every disciplined morning, every completed workout, every focused study session, every honest conversation, brick by brick. There is power in small promises. A small promise is manageable. It does not overwhelm. It does not intimidate. It invites execution. I will read 10 pages. I will practice for 30 minutes. I will complete this report today. Simple, clear, actionable. When you fulfill it, you strengthen self-trust. You begin to notice a shift. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" you begin to say, "I will do this." That shift is subtle, but powerful. Self-trust removes negotiation. When you decide, you act, because your history now supports your decision. Your history of kept promises, your history of completed tasks, your history of follow-through, slow build. Do not rush this process. Rushed confidence collapses under pressure. Built confidence remains steady. When challenges appear, you do not panic. You recall evidence. You recall mornings you showed up. You recall days you pushed through resistance. You recall promises you honored. That memory becomes strength. Finish. The word becomes part of your internal language. When distraction calls, you respond with completion. When fatigue whispers, you respond with follow-through. When doubt appears, you respond with action. Each brick reinforces the next. You begin to enjoy the process, not because it is easy, because it is honest. You are no longer pretending to be confident. You are becoming confident through proof, through repetition, through integrity. Integrity means your actions align with your words. You say you will do something. You do it. That alignment creates power. There will be days when the brick feels heavy, days when energy is low, days when progress feels invisible. Lay the brick anyway. You are not building for applause. You are building for stability. Stability cannot be rushed. It must be constructed carefully. You are constructing yourself, one habit at a time, one commitment at a time, one disciplined decision at a time. The wall rises. At first it reaches your ankles, then your knees, then your waist. You start to feel protected. Protected by your own reliability. Protected by your own reliability. Protected by your own consistency. Protected by your own discipline. The old self relied on external encouragement. The new self relies on internal evidence. The evidence is undeniable. You cannot argue with completion. You cannot debate a finished task. You cannot question a kept promise. Follow through, even when no one sees it, especially when no one sees it. Private completion builds public strength. You may not feel dramatic transformation. You may not feel intense emotion. That is a sign of stability. Confidence does not need to shout. It stands quietly, steady, grounded, brick by brick. Each day you show up, each day you execute, each day you complete. The structure strengthens. There is relief in this rhythm. You no longer depend on fluctuating feelings. You depend on decisions. Decisions repeated become habits. Habits repeated become identity. Identity repeated becomes destiny. This is how self-trust is built, not through affirmations alone, through alignment, through follow-through, through completion, finish. The task in front of you, the commitment you made, the promise you gave yourself, finish. When you finish, you close loops. Open loops create stress. Closed loops create stress. Closed loops create clarity. Clarity creates calm. Calm creates authority. You begin to walk differently, not because you boast, because you follow through, you complete, you honor commitments. That knowledge radiates. People sense reliability. Opportunities respond to consistency. Leadership emerges from trustworthiness, and trustworthiness begins within. Delayed gratification continues to test you. Results may not appear immediately. Recognition may not arrive quickly. Stay steady. You are not laying bricks for instant reward. You are building a fortress. A fortress built slowly does not crumble easily. One missed brick weakens structure, so you remain attentive, not obsessive. Attentive. You check your commitments. You adjust when necessary. You keep moving, brick by brick. There is beauty in this simplicity. No drama, no grand announcement, just steady progress. You start to notice something remarkable. Doubt decreases, not because challenges disappear, because you have evidence. You have a record of discipline, a record of completion, a record of promises kept. When a larger opportunity appears, you feel ready, not because you feel fearless, because you feel prepared. Preparation is confidence. Preparation is security. Preparation is power. Follow through, complete, finish. These words no longer feel like commands. They feel like standards. You have raised your standard. You no longer tolerate unfinished effort. You no longer excuse incomplete execution. You no longer compromise on commitments to yourself. The structure is visible now. Others may begin to notice subtle changes, increased consistency, improved performance, greater reliability, but the real transformation is internal. You trust yourself. Trust creates freedom. Freedom from overthinking, freedom from hesitation, freedom from self-doubt. You act because you know you will follow through. That certainty is powerful. You are no longer fragile in ambition. You are grounded in execution, and grounded ambition cannot be shaken easily. Brick by brick, day by day, promise by promise. The structure rises, you step back and observe it, not with arrogance, with pride. Pride earned through effort. You did not skip steps. You did not rely on shortcuts. You built carefully, deliberately, consistently. Confidence now feels stable, not loud, not exaggerated, stable. You know you can rely on yourself. You know you will complete what you begin. You know you will follow through. Say it clearly. I decide who I become. Not circumstances, not mood, not opinion. I decide, and when you decide, you execute, because you trust yourself, because you built the foundation, because you laid the bricks, brick by brick. This is how greatness forms, not in dramatic leaps, in disciplined repetition. The fortress stands stronger each day, and you stand within it, calm, capable, certain. You decide who you become, and you are building that person now. Chapter 7. The Power of Relentless Focus. There is a force more powerful than talent, more powerful than resources, more powerful than opportunity. It is attention. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Every day, your focus is being pulled. Notifications, opinions, conversations, endless information. Small interruptions disguised as harmless moments. Distraction does not announce itself as danger. It appears as convenience. It feels like relief. It sounds like entertainment. But distraction is silent failure, not dramatic collapse, gradual erosion. 1 minute lost, then another, then an hour, then a habit. You do not notice the cost immediately, but attention determines destiny. Imagine holding a magnifying glass under the sun. When the light is scattered, nothing happens. It warms the surface but does not change it. When the light is focused into a single point, something extraordinary occurs. Fire, intensity, power. The same sunlight, different focus. Your mind works the same way. Scattered attention warms the surface of many things. Focused attention transforms one. You cannot build mastery with divided concentration. You cannot construct greatness while constantly reacting. You must choose. Distraction awareness begins with honesty. Where is your time going? Where is your mental energy being spent? How often do you switch tasks before completing one? How often do you reach for stimulation instead of depth? This is not criticism, this is clarity. You are capable of more depth than you have been allowing. The old self tolerated distraction. It said, just a few minutes. It said, this doesn't matter. It said, I can multitask. The new self understands cost. Every distraction fragments momentum. Every interruption resets intensity. Every shift in focus weakens depth. You do not need more time. You need more concentration. Cut the noise. Reduce what does not contribute. Silence unnecessary alerts. Limit trivial conversations. Decline activities that dilute your direction. Cut the noise. This is not isolation, it is protection. Protect your energy. Energy is finite. Every reaction consumes it. Every argument drains it. Every comparison weakens it. You guard your energy like a resource, because it is. Focus deeply on what builds you. When you sit to work, work. When you train, train. When you learn, learn. Lock in. This phrase becomes a ritual. Before beginning a task, you breathe. You eliminate distractions. You commit fully. Lock in. There is power in singular attention. At first it feels uncomfortable. Your mind seeks variety. Your habits crave stimulation. Your body resists stillness. This is where discipline sharpens. Stay with the task. Stay through the boredom. Stay through the resistance. Distraction, awareness shifts into elimination. You identify patterns, the times of day when focus weakens, the environments that dilute attention, the habits that fragment flow. You adjust. You design your environment intentionally. You create boundaries around your time. You communicate limits clearly. You no longer apologize for protecting your focus. You value it. Attention is currency. You invest it wisely. The magnifying glass remains steady. Light gathers. Intensity builds, depth increases. You begin to experience flow. Time feels different. You are not rushing. You are immersed. One task, one objective, one direction. This is where mastery grows. Distraction once felt harmless. Now you see it as theft. It steals potential. It steals momentum. It steals clarity. You refuse to be robbed. Cup the noise. Protect your energy. Lock in. Repeat these commands before beginning important work. They center you, they anchor you, they remind you that attention is power. The emotional arc deepens. At first you feel tension, the urge to check something, the urge to switch tasks, the urge to respond instantly. You breathe through it. You remain present. You resist the pull. Gradually, clarity increases, your thinking sharpens, your decisions become precise, your output improves, quality replaces quantity, depth replaces speed. You realize something important. Focus is not restriction, focus is liberation. When you eliminate distractions, you eliminate chaos. When you eliminate chaos, you gain calm. This calm is powerful. It is not passive. It is controlled intensity. You become selective with your attention. Selective with your attention. Selective with your conversations. Selective with your commitments. Selective with your information intake. This selectivity multiplies impact. You accomplish more in less time. You think more clearly in less noise. You create more value in fewer hours. The world may still move quickly. You move deliberately. Transformation peak begins. Intensity surges. Stay with it. Stay sharp. Stay present. Do not glance away. Do not drift. Do not fragment your focus. Stay with it. Stay sharp. Stay present. Your mind wants novelty. Give it depth. Your habits want stimulation. Give them structure. Your environment wants reaction. Give it direction. Stay with it. Stay sharp. Stay present. Feel the power building. One uninterrupted hour, then another. Then another. Momentum strengthens. The fire intensifies. You are no longer skimming the surface of your potential. You are penetrating it. Stay with it. Stay sharp. Stay present. Intensity peaks. And then something shifts. Relief. Mental calm settles in. Not exhaustion. Clarity. You feel centered, grounded, clear. The noise that once felt constant is distant. You are not reacting. You are directing. The magnifying glass rests steady. The fire burns strong. You step back and observe the results of focused effort. Improved skill. completed projects, strengthened habits, reduced stress, all from attention applied intentionally. Attention determines destiny. If you focus on distraction, you build distraction. If you focus on growth, you build growth. If you focus on discipline, you build discipline. Your future is shaped by what you repeatedly concentrate on. Protect it, guard it, direct it. There will always be noise. There will always be options. There will always be options. There will always be demands, but you choose where your attention goes. That choice defines you. You are no longer scattered. You are concentrated. You are no longer reactive. You are deliberate. You are no longer fragmented. You're aligned. Lock in. Every time you begin a task, commit fully. Even if only for a defined period, even if only for 30 minutes, total immersion, total presence, total focus. Then rest intentionally. Then repeat. This rhythm builds resilience. This rhythm builds excellence. This rhythm builds authority. The old self chased stimulation. The new self chases mastery. Mastery requires relentless focus. Relentless does not mean tense. It means consistent. Consistently choosing depth over distraction. Consistently choosing clarity over chaos. Consistently choosing intention over impulse. You feel stronger mentally, less overwhelmed, less reactive, more composed. Mental calm becomes your advantage. When others are scattered, you are centered. When others are distracted, you are immersed. When others are reacting, you are executing. This difference compounds. Days of focus become weeks. Weeks become months. The results multiply. You look back at how you once divided your attention. You see the lost potential, not with regret, with gratitude, because now you know better. Now you choose better. Cut the noise, protect your energy, lock in. These commands are now part of your identity. They are not temporary tactics, they are standards. Relentless focus is not extreme, it is intentional. You do not need to eliminate the world. You need to eliminate fragmentation. When you give your full attention to something meaningful, you honor your potential. You honor your time. You honor your future. The fire continues to burn, strong, steady, controlled. And within that fire, your destiny begins to take shape. Clear, precise, focused. This is the power of relentless attention, and you are just beginning to experience its depth. Chapter 8. Pain as fuel. There is a truth most people try to escape. Growth is uncomfortable, not always dramatic, not always visible, but uncomfortable. Muscles strain before they strengthen. Minds stretch before they strengthen. Character is tested before it stabilizes. Discomfort is not a warning sign. It is a training signal. You have spent years learning to avoid pain, avoid embarrassment, avoid rejection, avoid fatigue, avoid difficulty. That instinct once protected you. Now it limits you. The old self avoided discomfort. It chose the easier route. It delayed the harder task. It stepped back when pressure increased. The new self understands something deeper. Capacity is built under pressure. Imagine steel being forged. Raw metal enters the fire soft and unformed. Heat surrounds it. Pressure shapes it. Impact strengthens it. Without fire, steel remains weak. Without pressure, it remains brittle. Without strain, it never becomes strong. You are being forged. Pain becomes training when you choose it. Lean in. When a task feels difficult, lean in. When a conversation feels uncomfortable, lean in. When a conversation feels uncomfortable, lean in. When discipline feels heavy, lean in. You are not running from resistance. You are building capacity through it. At first, strain dominates. You feel tired. You feel stretched. You feel uncertain. This is the strain phase. It is not failure. It is adaptation. Your mind learns resilience when it does not retreat. Your body builds endurance when it does not quit. Your character forms strength when it does not collapse. Hold steady. When pressure rises, do not panic. When discomfort surfaces, do not withdraw. Hold steady. Breathe through it. Stay grounded. Stay present. Pain is not permanent. It is transitional. Old habits whisper, stop. Old patterns suggest this is too much. Old comfort invites retreat. You recognize those voices, and you choose differently. Grow through it. Growth does not occur in comfort. It occurs at the edge of your ability, the edge of your endurance, the edge of your confidence. At the edge, you expand. There will be days when the weight feels heavier than expected. Deadlines stack. Expectations rise. Energy dips. This is not a signal to surrender. It is a signal to strengthen. Strain builds awareness. You begin to notice your limits. You begin to see where discipline weakens. You begin to identify where fear still lingers. This awareness is valuable. It reveals where growth is needed. You do not avoid it. You face it. Lean in. Discomfort sharpens focus. When something matters, it often feels intense. That intensity is energy. Channel it. Use it. Direct it. Pain is not your enemy. It is your instructor. Every workout that leaves you tired builds stamina. Every study session that challenges your understanding builds intellect. Every rejection that stings builds resilience. You versus your old self stands clearly here. The old self interpreted discomfort as danger. The new self interprets discomfort as opportunity, opportunity to expand, opportunity to strengthen, opportunity to grow. There is oscillation in this process. Strain. You push yourself beyond familiar limits. Breakthrough. You realize you survived. Strength. You discover you are stronger than before. Strain again. The cycle repeats. Each cycle builds capacity. You do not become fearless overnight. You become braver repeatedly. Each time you endure discomfort without retreat, you reinforce courage. Courage is not absence of fear. It is forward movement despite it. Lean in. When criticism arises, listen without collapsing. When failure occurs, analyze without self-doubt. When fatigue appears, rest strategically but do not quit. Hold steady. Stability under pressure distinguishes leaders. Anyone can act confidently when circumstances are smooth. True strength appears when conditions are demanding. You're training for demanding conditions. Pain builds tolerance. Tolerance builds resilience. Resilience builds power. There is a moment in every challenging experience where quitting feels easier. That moment is pivotal. It is where identity shifts. If you retreat, the old self strengthens. If you persist, the new self solidifies. Grow through it, not around it, not beneath it. Through it. Going around discomfort preserves weakness. Going through discomfort builds strength. Imagine steel again. Hammered repeatedly, shaped deliberately, cooled and reheated. It does not enjoy the process, but it emerges refined. You are refining yourself not through comfort, through challenge. The emotional oscillation intensifies. Strain, your muscles ache, your mind tires, your patience thins. Breakthrough, you complete the task, you solve the problem, you finish the training. Strength, you feel stronger, more capable, more confident. Then strain returns, and you welcome it, because now you understand the pattern. You know strain precedes growth. You know discomfort precedes expansion. You know pressure precedes power. Pain is no longer an obstacle. It is fuel. Fuel for improvement, fuel for endurance, fuel for transformation. Lean in. When others avoid the difficult path, you take it. When others choose immediate comfort, you choose long-term strength. When others retreat from challenge, you advance toward it. Hold steady. There will be storms, unexpected setbacks, moments of doubt. Remain grounded. Remember the forge. Remember the steel. Remember that pressure is shaping you. You are not being crushed. You are being formed. Grow through it. Every challenge contains a lesson. Every setback contains insight. Every setback contains insight. Every failure contains instruction. Extract it. Apply it. Improve. Pain without reflection is suffering. Pain with reflection is growth. You choose growth. You begin to notice an internal shift. Discomfort no longer intimidates you, it activates you. When something feels hard, you recognize it as meaningful. You feel alive in challenge, not overwhelmed, engaged. The old self's smoothness The new self seeks expansion. Expansion requires tension. You build capacity by stretching it. You increase strength by using it. You deepen resilience by testing it. This process is not glamorous, it is gritty. But grit builds greatness. You no longer measure progress by ease. You measure progress by endurance. How long can you stay disciplined when it is inconvenient? How steady can you remain when pressure rises? How focused can you stay when discomfort appears? These questions define capacity, and you're expanding yours. Lean in. When a goal feels intimidating, approach it. When responsibility feels heavy, carry it. When growth feels demanding, accept it. Hold steady. Your breathing anchors you. Your discipline stabilizes you. Your purpose guides you. Grow through it. Each challenge adds another layer of strength. Each strain builds deeper endurance. Each breakthrough increases belief. You are stronger than you were, not because life became easier, because you became tougher, not harsh. Resilient. Resilience is calm under pressure. Resilience is calm under pressure. Resilience is clarity in chaos. Resilience is persistence in discomfort. You are cultivating resilience. The forge continues, the hammer strikes, the metal strengthens, you endure, you adapt, you improve. Pain is no longer something to escape, it is something to utilize. When fatigue appears, you assess. Is it injury or growth? If growth, you continue. If injury, you adjust wisely. This discernment builds maturity. You are not reckless, you are intentional. Strain, breakthrough, strength. The cycle continues, and each cycle increases your capacity. You realize something powerful. The pain that once seemed unbearable is now manageable. The challenge that once felt overwhelming is now routine. The discomfort that once triggered retreat now triggers focus. You have grown, you have expanded, you have strengthened. Lean in, hold steady, grow through it. These words are no longer instructions, they are instincts. Pain is fuel. Fuel that drives you forward. Fuel that sharpens your edge. Fuel that deepens your character. You are no longer afraid of discomfort. You respect it. You harness it, you transform it. The old self ran from pressure. The new self uses it. The old self avoided strain. The new self uses it. The old self avoided strain. The new self seeks challenge. The old self feared pain. The new self understands it. Capacity builds quietly, not in comfort, in endurance, not in ease, in effort, not in ease, in effort, not in avoidance, in engagement. You are becoming unshakable, not because nothing affects you, because you adapt, because you endure, because you grow through it. And as you stand stronger than before, one truth becomes undeniable. Pressure did not break you, it built you, and you are ready for more. Chapter 9. Leadership begins within. Leadership is often imagined as visibility, a position, a title, a room where others listen. But true leadership begins long before anyone follows you. It begins in private. It begins when you direct your own thoughts, when you discipline your own habits, when you hold yourself accountable without supervision. Self-leadership precedes external leadership. Without it, authority is fragile. With it, influence becomes natural. Imagine standing at the helm of a ship. The ocean is vast, conditions change, winds shift, waves rise. No one else holds the wheel. You do. At first, the responsibility feels heavy. You cannot blame the wind. You cannot blame the tide. You cannot blame the crew. The direction depends on you. This is self-leadership. You are the captain of your own ship. Your mind is the vessel. Your habits are the sails. Your standards are the compass. When the waters are calm, anyone can steer. When storms appear, only a disciplined captain remains steady. Set the standard. Before others look to you, you look to yourself. What behavior is acceptable? You look to yourself. What a favor is acceptable? What effort is required? What discipline is non-negotiable? You decide. You do not wait for circumstances to demand excellence. You choose it. The old self responded to pressure. The new self creates structure. The old self reacted to deadlines. The new self acts before urgency. The difference is subtle but powerful. Leadership is not loud. It is consistent. When you wake up and complete what you committed to, you are leading. When you speak with integrity, you are leading. When you hold yourself accountable, you are leading. When you hold yourself accountable, you are leading. Lead yourself. This command is simple but profound. Lead yourself when no one is watching. Lead yourself when motivation fades. Lead yourself when distractions tempt you. Self-leadership builds credibility, and credibility builds influence. You cannot inspire discipline in others if you lack it internally. You cannot demand consistency from others if you excuse inconsistency in yourself. You cannot ask for courage if you avoid discomfort. Set the standard, raise it, live it. The identity upgrade intensifies here. You are no longer just improving habits. You are embodying leadership. You begin to speak differently, with clarity, with conviction, with purpose. You begin to think differently, strategically, long-term, responsibly. You begin to decide differently, with awareness of impact, with alignment to values, with ownership. Stand firm. Storms will test you. Criticism will challenge you. Uncertainty will confront you. Stand firm. A captain who panics spreads fear. A captain who steadies spreads confidence. You become steady, not rigid, grounded. Your emotions do not control the direction of your ship. They inform you, but they do not command you. Leadership requires composure. Composure requires self-mastery. Self-mastery requires discipline. You have built discipline. Now you apply it to identity. You do not wait for others to tell you what to do. You decide. You do not wait for validation to act. You commit. You do not wait for perfect conditions. You move. Lead yourself. When you make a promise, you keep it. When you set a goal, you pursue it. When you encounter resistance, you navigate through it. This is leadership in action. It begins in the smallest moments. How you respond to inconvenience. How you manage your time. How you handle setbacks. Each choice strengthens authority. Authority begins within. Imagine others looking to you for direction. Imagine someone asking for your guidance. Imagine a team depending on your steadiness. That future begins now. If you cannot direct yourself, you cannot direct others. If you cannot manage your impulses, you cannot manage responsibility. If you cannot regulate your focus, you cannot guide vision. Self-leadership is the foundation. You become intentional with your words. You avoid complaining. You avoid excuses. You avoid blame. Blame weakens authority. Ownership strengthens it. You own your results. You own your growth. You own your direction. Set the standard. When you enter a room, your presence communicates something. Is it hesitation or certainty? Is it distraction or focus? Is it doubt or confidence? Presence is built in private. The hours you invested, the habits you strengthened, the discipline you practiced. They show. You stand differently, you speak differently, you move differently because you lead yourself. There will be moments when leading yourself feels lonely, moments when discipline isolates you, moments when growth separates you from familiar comfort. Hold steady. Leadership often begins in solitude. Before followers appear, clarity must form. Before influence expands, integrity must stabilize. Stand firm. Your values anchor you. Your standards guide you. Your discipline sustains you. Leadership is not control over others. It is control over self. When you regulate your reactions, you demonstrate strength. When you remain calm under pressure, you inspire trust. When you act consistently, you build reliability. Others notice reliability. Reliability attracts responsibility. Responsibility expands influence. The captain does not wait for approval to steer. The captain reads the conditions and decides. You read your circumstances. You assess your strengths. You identify your weaknesses. You adjust your course. Lead yourself. There is power in decisive action. Indecision creates drift. Drift leads to stagnation. Decisiveness creates direction. Direction creates progress. Progress creates momentum. Momentum creates influence. You are building momentum, creates influence. You are building momentum, not for applause, for alignment. The identity shift deepens. You no longer ask, "What should I do?" You ask, what aligns with my standards? You no longer think, can I handle this? You think, how will I navigate this? You think, how will I navigate this? You move from reaction to direction. Leadership is responsibility. Responsibility requires maturity. Maturity requires discipline. You have developed discipline. Now you embody maturity. Stand firm. When opinions differ, you listen, but you do not waver from core principles. When criticism arises, you evaluate, but you do not collapse. When challenges intensify, you adapt, but you do not retreat. Self-leadership is stable under pressure. You are becoming stable. Imagine leading a team through uncertainty. They look to you, not because you demand it, because you embody it. Your calm becomes contagious. Your clarity becomes direction. Your confidence becomes assurance. That future is possible because you lead yourself today. I lead myself. Say it internally. I lead myself, not my emotions, not my distractions, not my impulses. I lead myself. This affirmation is not about control. It is about alignment. Alignment between intention and action, alignment between values and behavior, alignment between vision and execution. The ship moves forward steadily. Waves rise. You adjust the sails. Winds shift. You adjust the dikes. Winds shift. You adjust direction. Obstacles appear. You navigate around them. You are not passive. You are proactive. Leadership does not eliminate difficulty. It transforms response. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond strategically. Instead of blaming conditions, you adjust strategy. Instead of blaming conditions, you adjust strategy. Instead of retreating from pressure, you strengthen under it. Set the standard. Lead yourself. Stand firm. These commands are no longer instructions. They are identity. You notice increased clarity. You notice increased clarity. You improved decision-making. The shift is visible, not because you announce it, because you embody it. Others begin to sense your steadiness. They trust your word. They respect your discipline. They value your guidance. Influence grows organically because it is built on integrity. Self-leadership precedes external leadership. Without it, authority collapses. With it, influence expands naturally. You are not seeking control. You are seeking alignment. Alignment builds power. Power used wisely builds legacy. You are shaping your legacy now through daily discipline, through steady composure, through intentional decisions. The captain remains at the helm, alert, calm, focused. You are not waiting for ideal conditions. You are navigating through current ones. This is leadership. It begins within, and from that inner authority, everything else expands. I lead myself. And because you lead yourself, others will one day look to you, not because you demanded it, because you earned it through discipline, through integrity, through unwavering standards. The ocean stretches ahead. You hold the wheel, and you are ready to guide more than just yourself. Chapter 10. The Hero Standard. There is a moment in every transformation when effort is no longer enough. You have built discipline. You have strengthened focus. You have endured discomfort. You have learned to lead yourself. Now the question becomes deeper. What is your standard? Not your goal, not your dream, your standard. A goal is something you pursue. A standard is something you live. The hero standard is not about applause. It is not about admiration. It is not about image. It is about baseline excellence. Excellence not as a performance. Excellence as a default. But first, responsibility feels heavy. You recognize that your results are yours. Your growth is yours. Your discipline is yours. There is no one to blame. No one to carry the weight for you. No one to rescue you. That weight can feel intense because you understand now that mediocrity is a choice. You see the cost of lowering standards. You see the gap between potential and execution, and you refuse to live in that gap. Responsibility sits on your shoulders, heavy, real, demanding, but something begins to shift. The weight that once felt intimidating starts to feel empowering, because responsibility is power. If your results are yours, then your growth is yours. If your direction is yours, then your future is yours. The hero standard begins here. You stop asking, is this enough? You start asking, is this enough? You start asking, is this excellent? Excellence is not perfection. It is full effort. It is integrity in action. It is finishing what you begin. It is preparing before you are seen. It is doing what is right even when unnoticed. You no longer operate at minimum requirement. You operate at maximum alignment. You show up fully. You commit fully. You operate at maximum alignment. You show up fully. You execute fully. The shift from effort to embodiment begins quietly. You no longer force yourself to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You no longer remind yourself to focus. You focus. You no longer negotiate with weakness. You outgrow it. The hero standard is not dramatic. It is consistent. It is how you answer messages, how you meet deadlines, how you treat your body, how you speak when challenged, how you respond when tested. Every small action reflects identity. You operate differently now. You feel it in conversations, in decision-making, in how you carry yourself. Responsibility no longer feels like pressure. It feels like pride. Pride in your growth. Pride in your discipline. Pride in your self-leadership. This pride is not arrogance. It is earned confidence. You look at tasks not as burdens, but as opportunities to demonstrate excellence. You hold yourself to a higher line. If something matters, you give it full attention. If you commit, you complete. If you promise, you deliver. The hero standard is internal. It does not fluctuate with mood. It does not bend with opinion. It does not shrink under pressure. It stands. You stand with it. There will be moments when old patterns attempt to return, moments when effort feels tiring, moments when temptation whispers ease. This is where identity solidifies. You don't quit. You don't shrink. You move. The tempo rises. You don't quit. When results are slow, when recognition is absent, when progress feels gradual. You don't quit. You don't shrink. When responsibility expands, when expectations increase, when leadership demands more, you don't shrink. You move forward decisively, without hesitation. You don't quit. You move. Shrink. You move. The escalation intensifies. Pressure builds. Deadlines tighten. Challenges stack. You don't quit. You don't shrink. You move. This is no longer motivation. It is standard. You have raised the bar, and you refuse to lower it. The hero standard means you prepare even when others wait. It means you improve even when others settle. It means you step forward even when others hesitate. You don't quit. You don't shrink. You move. Intensity peaks. And then steadiness returns. Breath slows. Mind clears. Calm authority settles in. You are not frantic. You are not reactive. You are grounded. You operate differently now. This phrase carries weight. You operate differently now, not because you try harder, because you have become aligned. Your decisions are sharper. Your actions are cleaner. Your standards are firmer. You do not need reminders to act with excellence. It is natural. The hero standard becomes your baseline. If something is worth doing, it is worth doing well. If something is worth committing to, it is worth completing fully. If something challenges you, it is worth mastering. You look at your environment differently. You notice areas where standards can rise. You elevate them. You notice habits that need refinement. You refine them. You notice conversations that require clarity. You bring it. You are no longer satisfied with average effort. Average no longer feels comfortable. It feels misaligned. Responsibility has transformed into pride. You are proud of your discipline, proud of your focus, proud of your endurance. This pride fuels consistency. Consistency fuels mastery. Mastery fuels influence. You become dependable, reliable, stable. When others falter, you remain steady. When others complain, you execute. When others doubt, you decide. The hero standard demands self-accountability. You review your day honestly. Did you give full effort? Did you protect your focus? Did you uphold your standards? If not, you adjust, not harshly, Strategically, you correct quickly. You realign swiftly. You do not allow drift. Drift is beneath your standard. The shift from effort to embodiment becomes clear. You no longer celebrate basic discipline. You expect it. You no longer treat focus as exceptional. You require it. You no longer treat resilience as optional. You embody it. Excellence becomes your baseline. You do not announce it. You demonstrate it. In posture, in tone, in output, in follow-through. You operate differently now. There is calm in this identity. Calm because you trust your process. Calm because you trust your process. Calm because you trust your preparation. Calm because you trust your discipline. The hero standard is not about being admired. It is about being aligned. Aligned with your highest capability. Aligned with your deepest integrity. Aligned with your long-term vision. You hold yourself accountable without external pressure. You push yourself without external force. You elevate yourself without external validation. This is internal leadership at its peak. You don't quit. You don't shrink. You move. These words echo softly now, not as a surge, as a foundation. You understand that greatness is not a moment. It is a standard, and you have chosen it. You operate differently now. You respond to stress with structure. You respond to uncertainty with clarity. You respond to challenge with composure. The hero standard transforms how you view obstacles. They are no longer interruptions. They are tests of alignment. You pass them through consistency, through discipline, through unwavering execution. There will be days when energy dips. You still act. There will be days when results slow. You still move. There will be days when results slow. You remain steady. You don't quit. You don't shrink. You move. And because you move consistently, progress compounds. Your work improves. Your influence expands. Your confidence deepens. The hero standard demands that you become the person who handles responsibility gracefully. You no longer see responsibility as burden. You see it as proof of capacity. Proof that you can carry more. Proof that you can lead further. Proof that you can sustain excellence. Calm authority defines this phase. You do not need to prove yourself loudly. Your actions speak. Your consistency speaks. Your results speak. You operate differently now. That difference is visible. You are not chasing greatness. You are embodying it. You are not waiting for opportunity. You are prepared for it. You are not hoping for change. You are creating it. The hero standard is not a finish line. It is a lifestyle. A commitment to excellence in small and large moments, a refusal to settle, a dedication to growth. You don't quit, you don't shrink, you move, and you move with purpose, with discipline, with clarity. This is who you are now, not a temporary version, not a phase, an identity. You operate differently now, and from this place of calm authority, the next level of your journey awaits. Chapter 11. The point of no return. There is a moment in every transformation when the path behind you no longer feels accessible, not because it vanished overnight, but because you outgrew it. You have built discipline, you have sharpened focus, you have endured discomfort, you have embodied higher standards. Now you stand at a mountain pass. Behind you lies the terrain of your former self, familiar habits, comfortable compromises, patterns that once defined you. Ahead of you lies new territory, higher ground, clearer air, greater responsibility. You pause at the summit, not in hesitation, in recognition. This is the point of no return. When you descend into new territory, you cannot unknow what you now know. You cannot unbuild the discipline you forge. You cannot unknowingly shrink back into former limitations. You feel the shift. It is subtle at first. A realization that the old excuses no longer convince you, the old distractions no longer seduce you, the old patterns no longer feel natural, they feel foreign, old habits lose influence, the temptation to drift appears weaker, the urge to retreat feels hollow. You recognize it immediately, and you choose differently without struggle. Forward, say it internally, forward, not aggressively, decisively. You do not climb back down the mountain. You descend into new territory with clarity. No backward steps. Backward steps once felt harmless. One skipped discipline, one avoided challenge, one lowered standard, but now you understand the cost. Every backward step reinforces an outdated identity. You are not that identity anymore. No backward steps. This does not mean perfection. It means direction. Even when you stumble, you adjust forward. Even when you slow down, you move forward. Even when you rest with intention. The emotional intensity builds. You feel distance from who you were, distance from how you used to react, distance from how you used to react, distance from how you used to settle. There is pride in that distance, but also responsibility, because this new territory requires maturity. Own your ground. When you step into this new version of yourself, you do not hesitate. You do not apologize for growth. You do not shrink to fit former expectations. Own your ground. Your standards are not temporary. Your discipline is not experimental. Your focus is not negotiable. You stand firm. You realize something powerful. Retreat is no longer attractive. Even if it were possible, it would feel misaligned. The mountain pass symbolizes effort. The climb required endurance. The ascent required courage. You remember the strain, the early mornings, the disciplined days, the silent growth. You did not climb to return. You climbed to transform. Forward. This word carries weight now. It carries momentum. It carries identity. You feel the shift. The old self whispers less frequently. The new self speaks clearly. The old self suggests comfort. The new self chooses strength. The old self fears responsibility. The new self welcomes it. This is not arrogance. It is evolution. You begin to notice how differently you respond to pressure. Situations that once triggered doubt now trigger strategy. Challenges that once caused hesitation now activate action. You operate from a new baseline. The emotional climax builds. You look back at your former patterns. You see how easily you once accepted less. You see how often you once negotiated with weakness. You see how frequently you once doubted yourself. And you realize something undeniable. That version cannot lead you anymore. No backward steps. The terrain behind you no longer fits. It feels narrow, limited, confined. The terrain ahead feels expansive, demanding, full of possibility. You descend into new territory. It requires alertness. It requires discipline. It requires leadership. You are ready because you built the capacity, because you raised the strand, because you raised the strand, because you raised the strand. Own your ground. This phrase becomes an anchor. When doubt arises, you own your ground. When criticism appears, you own your ground. When responsibility expands, you own your ground. Grounded, steady, clear, the shift intensifies. You feel irreversible change, not in appearance, in identity. You no longer think like you once did. You no longer tolerate what you once did. You no longer accept the narratives you once believed. You rise internally. I rise. Say it clearly, I rise. Not because everything is easy, because you are stronger. Not because challenges disappear, because you navigate them differently. Not because fear vanishes, because courage leads. The point of no return is not dramatic. It is certain, a quiet certainty that you cannot go back to smaller thinking. You cannot return to weaker standards. You cannot return to weaker standards. You cannot return to weaker standards. You cannot embrace former excuses. No backward steps. Own your ground. The intensity peaks. You feel clarity sharpen, your posture changes, your decisions solidify, your tone steadies. You are not striving to become. You have become. Old habits lose influence completely. They appear occasionally, but they lack authority. You see them as remnants, not rulers. You understand now that growth is cumulative. Every disciplined day contributed, every focused hour compounded, every painful challenge strengthened you. You stand on the other side of that accumulation. Different, stronger, more deliberate, The mountain pass fades behind you. You're fully in new territory. It is unfamiliar at first, but you adapt quickly, because adaptation is now part of you. You respond to new challenges with composure. You approach new opportunities with composure. You approach new opportunities with readiness. You face new responsibilities with confidence. This is irreversible. You feel the shift deeply. I rise. This affirmation now carries history. It carries effort. It carries discipline. It carries transformation. You rise because you chose to. You rise because you chose to. You rise because you chewed retreat. You rise because you owned your ground. The emotional climax stabilizes into certainty. There is no fear in forward movement. There is excitement. There is anticipation. There is anticipation. There is purpose. You are no longer testing your limits. You are expanding them. You are no longer questioning your identity. You are embodying it. The point of no return marks maturity. You no longer chase quick wins. You build lasting impact. You no longer seek comfort. You seek alignment. You no longer fear responsibility. You carry it with pride forward. The word feels natural, not forced. It aligns with your rhythm. No backward steps. Even when progress slows, even when setbacks appear, even when uncertainty rises, no backward steps. Adjust, learn, continue, own your ground. You no longer require validation to confirm your growth. You feel it in your discipline, in your clarity, in your confidence. This is the turning point where identity locks in. Not because you say it, because you live it. I rise, and as you move deeper into this new territory, you understand that the final phase of transformation awaits, one where growth is no longer effort, it is embodiment, one where leadership is no longer practice, it is presence. You have crossed the path, there is no retreat, only forward expansion, and you are ready for what comes next. Chapter 12. From Zero to Hero is Identity. At the beginning, you were rebuilding. You were uncertain, yet determined. You were disciplined, yet still shaping belief. You were focused, yet still proving yourself. Now something is different. You no longer try, you embody. From Zero to Hero was never about status. It was never about applause. It was never about image. It was about identity. Everything you built now integrates. Discipline is no longer a task, it is your rhythm. Focus is no longer forced, it is your default. Silence is no longer forced, it is your default. It is strength. Leadership is no longer practice, it is presence. You move differently, not louder, clearer, stronger, more grounded. The shift is internal first. You wake with direction. You act with intention. You respond with composure. You act with intention. You respond with composure. You decide with clarity. There is no internal negotiation. There is alignment. This is the new standard. You remember the early chapters, when awareness first lit the dark room, when Zero felt uncertain, when discipline felt heavy, when silence felt lonely, when discomfort tested you, when leadership felt distant. You walked through each phase, not perfectly, but consistently, and consistency became identity. You no longer ask if you can, you act because you do. You no longer hope for change, you create it. There is a calm authority settling inside you now, not dramatic, not aggressive, stable. This is the authority of someone who has done the work. You stand taller, not because you demand attention, because you are aligned. Imagine walking into a room with certainty, not arrogance. Certainty. You do not scan for approval. You do not shrink in uncertainty. You observe, you assess, you contribute. Your presence speaks before your words. Imagine solving problems calmly. Where others react, you respond. Where others panic, you steady. Where others hesitate, you decide. This is embodiment. You are not performing confidence. You are operating from it. Discipline guides your day without friction. Focus anchors your attention without strain. Silence strengthens your depth without loneliness. Leadership flows naturally from your stability. Everything integrates. The habits you built support the identity you embody. The discomfort you endured strengthened the resilience you carry. The standards you raised define the way you live. There is no gap now between who you want to be and how you act. You closed it. Stand tall. Feel that command settle. Stand tall, not to appear strong, because you are. Hold steady. When circumstances shift, when challenges arise, when expectations expand, hold steady. Keep moving. Progress is your rhythm now. Don't stop, not because of pressure, because of alignment. Intensity rises. Stand tall. Hold steady. Keep moving. Don't stop. You have come too far to shrink. You have built too much to drift. You have grown too deeply to retreat. Stand tall. Hold steady. Keep moving. Don't stop. This is not motivation. This is recognition. Recognition of the work you did. Recognition of the growth you sustained. Recognition of the identity you forged. The crescendo peaks. You feel the power of your own evolution, from uncertainty to clarity, from hesitation to action, from effort to embodiment. Stand tall, hold steady, keep moving, don't stop, and then release. Breath slows, intensity settles, calm authority remains. You are not chasing transformation anymore. You are living it. The new standard is simple. You operate differently now. You do not tolerate mediocrity in your own effort. You do not compromise on your own values. You do not abandon your own discipline. This is who you are. Imagine walking into a new opportunity. You do not wonder if you belong. You prepare, you contribute, you lead. Imagine facing a challenge that once intimidated you. You assess calmly, you respond strategically, you persist steadily. Imagine others looking to you for direction, not because you demanded it, because you earned it through consistency, through integrity, through resilience. You lead without noise, you influence without arrogance, you decide without hesitation. The identity has locked in. From zero to hero is no longer a journey. It is who you are. You remember what zero felt like, uncertain, unstructured, undefined. And now you feel defined, not by external labels, by internal standards. You know how to rebuild, you know how to refocus, you know how to endure, you know how to refocus, you know how to endure, you know how to lead. Those skills are permanent. This is not a temporary peak. This is a permanent baseline. You are calm under pressure. You are disciplined without drama. You are focused without distraction. You are strong without aggression. This is mature strength, the kind that does not need to announce itself, the kind that does not fear silence, the kind that does not collapse under responsibility. I am ready. Say it with clarity. I am ready. Ready for higher expectations, ready for greater responsibility, ready for expanded influence. I rise. You rise not because someone lifts you, because you built yourself, brick by brick, decision by decision, challenge by challenge. I decide who I become. This affirmation is no longer aspirational, it is factual. You decide through action. You decide through discipline. You decide through a discipline. You decide through alignment. And you have decided well. Stand tall. Hold steady. Keep moving. Don't stop. The words are softer now. They are woven into your rhythm. You wake and execute. You plan and complete. You lead and adapt. You learn and improve. You are not trying to be heroic. You are being consistent. Heroism in this context is quiet. It is the daily refusal to lower your standard. It is the daily choice to grow. It is the daily commitment to integrity. Imagine years from now, your discipline has compounded, your focus has deepened, your leadership has expanded, you walk into rooms with quiet authority, you solve problems with steady clarity, you guide others with balanced strength. You do not need to prove anything. Your work speaks, your presence influences, your standards inspire. From zero to hero is identity, not a moment, not a title, not a recognition, an identity. You carry it forward in your decisions, in your habits, in your leadership. Stand tall, hold steady, keep moving, don't stop. But now there is ease in those words, because movement is natural, steadiness is normal, strength is internal. Sten is normal. Strength is internal. Calm authority settles fully. You are grounded, focused, unshakable. This is the new standard, not something you return to occasionally, something you live daily. You no longer seek transformation. You embody it. You no longer wait for greatness. You practice it. You no longer chase validation. You create value. You operate differently now. And you will continue to operate differently. Because identity does not fluctuate with mood. It stabilizes with discipline. From zero to hero was never about distance traveled. It was about identity formed. And that identity is now yours. Stand tall. Hold steady. Keep moving. Don't stop. You are ready. You rise. You decide who you become. And from this point forward, you live it. You are not the same person who started this journey. In the beginning there was uncertainty, a quiet questioning, a sense that more was possible but no clear path forward. You felt the weight of potential without structure. You felt ambition without alignment. Now something is different. You move with clarity. You act with intention. You think long-term. You no longer drift between moods and moments. You choose direction. You choose discipline. You choose growth. From zero, you build structure. From silence, you built strength. From discipline, you built identity. You learned that foundations matter, that focus multiplies power, that discomfort refines character, that leadership begins within. This was never about applause. It was about alignment. You stopped waiting for the perfect moment. You stopped explaining your goals. You stopped negotiating with weakness. You started building. Pause. Feel that shift inside you. The old version hesitated. This version decides. The old version hesitated. This version responds. You no longer chase opportunity. You create it through preparation. You no longer fear starting over. You understand that zero is a foundation, not a failure. This is not temporary motivation. This is installation. Your standards are higher. Your focus is sharper. Your leadership is internal. Say it clearly. I am ready. I rise. I decide who I become. You are not rebuilding anymore. You are operating. From zero to hero was never about status. It was about identity. Now move forward. Calm, focused, unstoppable. The world adjusts to who you become, and you are just getting started.
You made it to the end. That already says something about you. Most people stop early. You stayed. If this audiobook challenged you, if it sharpened your focus, if it reminded you of who you're becoming, then don't let this be a one-time moment. This channel exists for people who choose growth, discipline over comfort, clarity over noise, progress over excuses. If you want more audiobooks like this, more mindset training, more leadership, more inner strength, subscribe, like this video so it reaches the people who need it, and share it with someone who's ready to rise but hasn't found the words yet. Stay consistent, protect your mind, and keep moving forward. This is only the beginning.